Cleetus McFarland just got pulled from his own race truck. Niece Motorsports is putting a NASCAR rookie behind the wheel of the number 4 Chevy this Saturday at North Wilkesboro, a driver making his National Series debut on one of the most brutal short tracks on the schedule. So, what happened to Cleetus? And who is this kid replacing him? Start with the announcement itself. Niece Motorsports, based out of Salisbury, North Carolina, confirmed that the number 4 Chevrolet Silverado is returning to competition for the Faith Fest 250, a 250-lap grind covering 156 miles around the tight 4-turn 0.625 mi oval at North Wilkesboro Speedway. This is the same historic short track hosting both the Truck Series and the Cup Series this weekend, and it is brutal on equipment and even more brutal on rookies who show up unprepared for how physical it gets once the trucks start banging into each other for track position. And the name behind the wheel is Donovan Strauss, a 20-year-old out of Marietta, Georgia, about to make his NASCAR Truck Series debut in one of the most unforgiving spots on the schedule to do it. And Strauss isn't the only fresh face in this field either. This North Wilkesboro weekend has turned into a full-blown entry list shakeup with multiple teams swapping drivers at the last minute. Another prospect is making his National Series debut on the same day Strauss makes his, while a veteran driver returns to the Truck Series in a one-off ride. It's the kind of weekend where the sport is quietly restocking its talent pool in real time, and Strauss just happens to be the story getting the most attention because of who he's replacing. There's also real stakes riding on this race beyond just storylines. The Truck Series enters this North Wilkesboro weekend with just 4 races left before the playoff field gets locked in, which means every team running for points is desperate for speed, and every part-time entry like Nice's number 4 truck is fighting to prove it belongs on the entry list. Add in the fact that the Cup Series is racing the very next day at the same track in Sunday's Window World 450, and you've got a jam-packed weekend at one of the most historic short tracks NASCAR has ever brought back from the dead. Here's the part that makes this way bigger than a simple lineup swap.
Strauss is officially the 5th different driver to sit behind the wheel of that number 4 truck in 2026 alone. McFarland opened the year in it at Daytona. Ben Meyer ran a stint. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a full-blown Cup Series veteran, took a turn in it, too. Connor Hall drove it as well. And now it's Strauss's turn, piloting a Silverado backed by Nightclub Suck, a performance apparel and training brand riding along for his debut weekend. Niece has essentially been using this one truck as a rotating door all season, mixing internet fame, veteran experience, and grassroots talent all in the same equipment, all in the same year. So who is Donovan Strauss? This isn't some random kid getting handed the keys. Strauss is 20 years old out of Marietta, Georgia, and his path to this moment actually started on iRacing before he ever strapped into a real race car. From there, he built genuine credentials on actual asphalt, racing Bandoleros, US Legends cars, and late model stock cars across the Southeast. In 2023, he won the US Legends INEX Pro National title after stacking up feature wins that season. Last year, racing full-time on the car's late model stock tour, he finished 9th in the final point standings with a season-best result of 7th place at Caraway Speedway. This year, he's still grinding away in that same series behind the wheel of the number 98 late model for AK Performance, running with crew chief Mike Shiplett now calling the shots on his Truck Series debut. Niece Motorsports president and CEO Cody Effa has talked about Strauss hanging around the shop for months, learning the operation from the inside before ever getting the call to strap in. And here's the detail that actually matters for Saturday. North Wilkesboro is not some random baptism by fire for Strauss. He has already turned laps around this exact track in late model competition, which means unlike most drivers making their National Series debut completely blind, Strauss walks into practice already knowing where the grip is and where the walls bite back. Strauss himself has pointed to that experience as the reason he feels ready. That kind of track knowledge is a real advantage on a short snorts track this unforgiving, where local knowledge can be worth more than raw horsepower. Now, let's talk about Cleetus. Real name Garrett Mitchell, the man built an enormous following on YouTube long before NASCAR ever entered the picture, turning his Freedom Factory compound into one of the most recognizable brands in grassroots motorsports content. He worked his way up through ARCA before Niece Motorsports gave him his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Daytona International Speedway to open the 2026 season. That debut did not go the way anybody wanted. He crashed out just a handful of laps into the race, but he bounced back in his second start of the year at Michigan International Speedway on June 6, 2026, where he brought the truck home 25th. For McFarland, that was a career-best finish and honestly a real step forward for a guy still learning stock car racing at the national level. So no, this isn't McFarland getting benched or written off. It's simply that Niece only ever had him scheduled for select starts this year, and North Wilkesboro was never one of them. McFarland's next confirmed Truck Series start is already locked onto the calendar. He is set to return at Talladega Superspeedway for the Truck Series playoff race on Saturday, October 17, 2026, airing at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And that matchup actually makes a ton of sense when you think about it. North Wilkesboro demands precision, patience, and short track car control on a tiny bullring where one mistake in traffic ends your day. Talladega is the complete opposite. It's a 2.66-mile superspeedway built around drafting, pack racing, and survival instinct more than pure handling. Putting McFarland at Daytona and now Talladega instead of the short tracks tells you Niece is easing him in on the tracks where the learning curve is more about racecraft in a pack than mastering a specific groove. That's a calculated move, not a punishment, and it plays directly to the strengths of a driver who's still finding his footing at the national level. Here's the bigger picture, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting for anyone following how NASCAR teams operate in this era.
Finding his footing at the national level. Here's the bigger picture, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting for anyone following how NASCAR teams operate in this era. Niece Motorsports is running that number 4 truck as two completely different tools at the same time. On one hand, McFarland brings a massive built-in audience and sponsor appeal that most Truck Series rookies could never dream of walking in the door with. On the other hand, drivers like Strauss represent the traditional grassroots pipeline, the short track grinder who wins Legends titles and racks up top 10s on Saturday nights before ever getting a real shot at the national stage. Instead of picking one lane, Niece is running both at once, using one part-time truck to chase eyeballs and sponsorship dollars while simultaneously auditioning legitimate short track talent for a possible future full-time seat. It's a strategy built for the current era of NASCAR, where content creators can fund a program just as effectively as a traditional corporate sponsor, and where a driver's social following matters almost as much as their lap times when it comes to keeping a truck on the racetrack. For Strauss, Saturday at North Wilkesboro is his one shot to prove that all that shop time and late model experience translates into a real Truck Series result. A strong run, especially on a track where he already has laps under his belt, could absolutely put him back behind that wheel again down the road. For McFarland, the story simply shifts venues. October at Talladega is his next chance to prove Michigan wasn't a fluke, and that a career-best 25th place finish was the start of a real climb up the field. Not just a headline for the highlight reel, two very different racers, one shared truck, and two completely separate storylines worth watching for the rest of this season. Which one are you more locked in on? Strauss proving himself as the real deal this Saturday, or McFarland's redemption run at Talladega in October?